Hey friends, happy Wednesday. We're halfway through the week, and that means it's time for another family night craft brought to you by the Northeast branch of the Reading Public Library. For today's activity, we are going to be making a woven magazine craft. So if you come into the library, you know that we have a big magazine section. However, over time we collect a lot of magazines. So every once in a while we have to recycle them. And so I thought this week we would do something with them together, a little creative. So I'm going to teach you to weave magazines, and then you have total freedom to do whatever you want with it. What I'm going to probably do is paste it down to paper, my weaving, and then put a collage on top of it. You could finish your weaving, glue the ends down, and then cut it into a shape, whatever you want. But let me show you how to do a basic weaving, and then you can be creative with it however you want. So if you haven't already, make sure you get a Go Pack in the Northeast branch of the Reading Public Library. It's going to have everything you need except a pair of scissors, and you don't need it, but if you'd like to use it to make things easier, a glue stick or some tape. So there's no glue, tape, or scissors in the Go Pack. So if you don't have it at home, don't stress. You could come to the library and just let us know. We are happy to give you some to use. So what should be in your bag are magazines, a lot of magazines. So let's do this together. The first thing I'm going to do, and you should as well, are find the pages in your magazine that you want to use for your weaving. Now I've given you a couple magazines in each Go Pack, so there should be enough magazines for you to make a couple of weavings. Like, you only need a couple pages to get started with the weaving. I'd say about 6. So what I'm going to do is find 6 magazine pages that I want, and you're just gonna rip them right out. Try to rip them as close to the edge as possible, you know, to the, not to the edge, but to the middle where it's all bound together. Try to get as close to that, but just rip it. Don't worry if it looks jagged because we're going to cut off the edges. So find 6 pages. I'm going to find mine now and we'll rip them out. I'm picking some with like punchy bright colors, but you can pick whatever palette you want. They could be random pages, they could be black and white, a certain color, a certain group of colors, whatever you want. All right, so you can see behind me, I have 6 pages. I found a bunch of colors that were red, black, and yellow, so I decided to make a color scheme around that. But like I said, you don't have to pick any specific color scheme if you don't want to. This is just the one that I like. So now what we're going to do next is see this jagged edge where I pulled it out. You're going to take scissors and cut it off. You want to cut it as close to it as possible, so wherever it goes in the most, bing bing, that is where you want to cut to, so everything is nice and straight and neat looking. So do that now and do it to all 6 of your pages. Alright, so I've made each of my pages look nice and neat. As you can see, the edge that was jagged of these papers is now nice and smooth. It doesn't need to be perfectly straight. So what we're going to do next is we're going to cut each of these in half. So you can fold it in half and use the line to cut on. So that's what I'm going to do to all of them now. And make sure, we're not doing hamburger fold, we're doing hot dog fold. So it should be the longest fold possible. If it looks short and squat, that's not the right way to fold it. We want to fold it, folding it up and down the tall way and fold it in half and then cut along that line. So I'm going to do that to all my pages now, and we should end up with 12 pieces. Okay, so now I have all of my magazine pieces. They're nice and straight. They're all about half a magazine page. So now I'm going to show you how to prepare each strip. Basically, we're gonna fold it in half. We're gonna open it, fold both sides into the middle, and then fold it in half again. If that sounds confusing, it's way easier to just watch, and I think you'll catch on to it right away. We'll fold 2 strips together before I speed up and let you sort of take it on your own. So let's see how these are folded. So to fold your strip, you want to make sure that when we start, whatever side you want to show, you put face down. If you keep it face up when you're folding it, you won't be able to see it in your design, which really stinks. So make sure we start by taking the side we want. I want the one with the nice yellow color, and putting it face down. Then, like I said before, we're going to fold it in half. Just like earlier, we don't want to fold it hamburger, we want to fold it hot dog. Make sure you get the edges together. Give it a nice crease. Then open it back up. Then we're gonna fold each of these edges back to that middle crease that you should see. And then, once it's folded into this strip, we're going to fold it in half one more time. So, like this. So I have a thin strip, and as you can see here, the side I wanted of the design is on the outside. So I'm going to do it once more, but I'm going to zoom in farther, and I'm not going to talk this time. We're just going to fold it nice and slowly. If you still don't get it, just make sure you rewind and watch it again. But after that, I'm going to keep folding and we're going to fast forward. Okay friends, so all of my magazine strips are folded. So this is the first time where optional glue comes in. So we've folded these to make these nice and strong. There's no need to add any glue, these are plenty strong. However, you might find it annoying because while you're weaving they might try to pop open. So you can reopen the last fold you made, put glue on one, and then seal it down to make it easier to deal with. I'm just gonna do that to mine because I want you to see how to do it. And just let it dry for a few minutes. Alright friends, so I have all my strips, so now it is time to weave. The most exciting part. what we've all been waiting for. So follow along with me. What we're going to do is first divide it into half. So we want to set 2 piles of 6 magazine strips, or if you're doing a different number, which is totally fine, try to divide it fairly evenly into 2 piles. Now I just wanted to say this quickly because I'm sure people are wondering. If you want to do longer strips than we have, because this will make a fairly small weaving, you can tape together 2 strips of magazine, like in this direction, so overlap them a little to make a longer weaving. It's not hard. So yeah, that is an option if you want to make a big weaving. But we're going to do our normal side. I'm going to set it aside in 2 piles. All right, since I made 12, I have 2 piles of 6. It actually worked out, so I have 6 red and 6 yellow, which I like a lot. So what I'm going to do is first take one color and lay them all lengthwise vertically, so up and down. So I will use my red. Okay, so I've laid them all side by side, sort of touching. So now we're going to take our yellow ones and we are going to start towards the bottom. I like to leave a little empty space. So I'm going to leave an inch at the bottom and I'm going to start by alternating it. So you take it and what you want to do is I'll go over the first one, under the next one, over, under, over, and then you want to pull it so you have some leftover edges, like an inch at least on each side. So I'm going to do that, follow along. But actually before I start this, I'm actually going to put tape along the bottom of them because they keep wanting to move around. So make sure it's the tape you can peel off, but I'm just going to tape them down so that they don't move around too much. Something like painter's tape or masking tape is a better option than Scotch tape because it'll come off more easily without ripping apart your magazine pieces. And this is also a great way to mark a line you don't want to go past with your weaving. So now I'm going to try again. So I'll go over, under with my magazine strip that is yellow. And it's really easy the way I have it split up so you can sort of see where the different colors are going. All right, so if you look, you can see that it goes over, then it goes under. You can see the red strips on top, over, red strips on the bottom, under, so the red strip is on top. The yellow strip goes over, red is on the bottom, and then finally red goes over the yellow, which is on the bottom. So what you want to do is do the same thing with the next strip, except instead of going over first, you're going to go under first. So we want to keep alternating these. So just do the opposite of what you did last time. So you went over to go under, and just, you'll see it. Under, over, under, over, under, and over. So hopefully you can see that. Let me see if I can zoom in at all. So I'm just going to keep doing that with all of my pieces. So I had over with the yellow, then under with the second piece. So now I'm going to go over again. Because remember, we are alternating. Over, under, over, under, over, and under. So, my face is really close. So what I'm going to do now is just do that with the rest of my strips, and then we'll address how to finish it at the end. Alright, so the weaving step is done. So while I'm finishing this, I'm actually going to tape off the top too. So everything's firm. We can start with the side before moving to the top and bottom. Okay, so you can see we have a lot of leftover pieces on the sides. So we're going to take care of those now. So you have a few choices here. What I think I'm going to do is trim these pieces a little bit on the side, put glue on the bottom, and then tuck them back so they're stuck behind my weaving. So I'm going to trim it so they all have about an inch coming out instead of, I think I have about 2 inches here. So that's my first step. And then you are going to want to put on the glue. So I lift this up, the glue on, and then fold it under. Hard to keep down. And now I'm just going to repeat the exact same thing on the other side. Alright, so now I'm done with the sides, and I'm going to do the same thing with the top and bottom. And I just... So another thing you can do actually is take a strip of magazine, fold it in half, and glue it on both sides. So you know what, I think I'll do the fold under and glue, but just so you know, that's another option. You take a sandwich like we had before and fold it on each side at the top and glue it on both sides. And as you can see, this turns out to be like a sort of rectangular shape. And as I said before, you can decide how long you want the strips to be, how many strips you want it to be, and play around with it and see what shapes you get. Another option I wanted to tell you about is if you'd like to take a weaving like this, woven style, and then cut it, what you should be doing is as you weave along, that step when we're going over and under earlier, is every time you move your piece, glue it down. So that way you can just cut it and it'll stay together. So with those tips in mind, I'm going to finish this piece the easy way. Follow along with me if you want, or try to go your own way. And this tape should be peeled off very carefully. Womp womp. I'm gonna trim them all so they're the same length as that piece that came off. Alright, so the weaving is done, but as you can see, the style I did it, it's a little lumpy on the back, so I just want to give you as many options as possible. You don't have to do this, but what I'm going to do is I have this blue paper here. I didn't put any in the bag because it's just a random option. If you want any plain paper, just ask us at the library. Otherwise, you can use another magazine page for this. But what you want to do is trace out something the same size as your piece. Then I'm going to cut it out and glue it to the back so it'll cover up all those bumps. So that's what I'll do now. Let's do it. So if you want, you can make this into like a card for someone, write something on the back. You could make two of these, sort of tape them together, make a little book, whatever you want, but that's just another option to make it finished. Why don't you write your name on the back so you can keep it? So I hope you take all of my tips into account so you can weave all sorts of different creations. I'd love it if you want to share your pictures on social media and tag us at Reading Public Library, or if you want to bring it in and show me, or just keep it to yourself. I hope you like this week's craft. I hope you get really creative. Oh, let me show you another option before I forget. So one more thing you can do is cut stuff out like a collage and paste it on top to give it more interest. So here's a picture of Catherine O'Hara. I'm gonna cut that out and glue it on top like a collage. Okay, so you just cut out a picture and then I'm going to paste it down. And you can do that with a bunch of pictures, just one. You don't have to do it. I think it's fun. You could even cut out letters to say like happy birthday or something like that. All I did was I glued on a picture, and I think it adds some nice interest. You could put some words around here. You could put other things, like cut out some flowers, make it exciting. But it's super easy. It's a fun craft where you can get creative however you want, but I hope you enjoyed this craft. I hope you had a good time. Give it a like if you like doing different weaving crafts and textiles, so I know what you all want to see more of. And don't forget to join us next Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. again for another Northeast Family Night craft. And I think you're really gonna like this one. Okay, bye friends. Have a nice rest of your week.